Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today I wanted to do a video kind of explaining my experience playing Season 2 of Ranked in Pokemon Unite, and now I have recently hit 2,000 points. Now, in Masters, that is. So I'm exactly 2,003 points, and yeah, I just kind of wanted to do like a recap, share my thoughts, give my feelings about it, and just do like a little discussion about it and kind of share this with y'all. So, I've been keeping track of my account pretty religiously, and on my main account, I played 700 and something games. I'll probably pull it up on screen. I played 700 and something games, 791 or something like that it was, and of those games, I played 17 5-stat games. Of the 17 5-stat games, 15 of them were wins, and I tried to keep that number low, but every now and then I would 5-stack with people, but try to keep that number pretty low. Most of my games, the vast majority, what I would probably say was like 65–70% of my games were duo queue with Loosh, and there was a handful, like a good amount of trio queue games. So that was the experience, and then there was a ton, like a ton of solo queue, like probably 30 to 45%, maybe 50% of my games were solo queue, and most of that was done like on stream. So my entire like Krashy account, just my normal account, was mostly solo duo, and then like a little bit three stack and a little bit of a 5-stack, and I was able to hit 2,003 master points, which puts me like right inside 2,500 world ranking, which is crazy because when I originally hit 1,900 I was at 1,800 world ranking. So the world ranking is just climbing and climbing. It's really hard to hold that position, let alone an actual master rating points. So what was the process like? Well, it was kind of awful. It was kind of awful. It was really fun. It was motivating, and it all basically started just because of the most recent rank change where you get more points than you lose, and they kind of had the points adjusted, but that's early on. So the new 1,200 is kind of like 1,500, because once you are 1,200, you can just kind of like negative win rate your way up to 1,500 because you're gaining like 10 per win, you're gaining 11 per win, and you're losing like 8, 7, maybe 6. So it's not too hard to get yourself up to like 1,500 was kind of the feeling. But the matchmaking never gets better, and the teams and the games don't really get better. And so overall it just feels like a lot of the same exact gameplay, but you know, your experience is getting harder and harder, because the higher you climb, the more that point shift like changes, that point variance changes. So, you know, I don't remember, I think it was like 1,700 or so, and maybe even was 1,600 is whenever it started feeling like, okay, you have to be really consistent. I want to say like 1,500 to 1,600 was, you know, you're breaking even pretty much, so you have to have a higher than 50% win rate, because it mostly feels like you're breaking even. And then like 1,600, 1,700, something around there was when it was like actually backwards. It's like, okay, when I lose, I'm going to lose 8. When I win, I'm going to gain like 6 or 7. So it's not that bad if you're breaking even, but you will consistently go down. Then for sure, the 1,900 to 2K stretch was like the hardest, just because, I don't know, it's the same thing, right? Like you're gaining 6, but you're losing 8, and you just have to keep very consistent. It's hard. You have to win a lot of your games. So the approach was simple. I simply just had to carry every single game. In most games, I was probably the highest rated player. Now that we have, you know, Unite API, I was been doing a lot of looking in the recent days to kind of see who I've been playing with. It's actually pretty incredible in a bad way that, you know, I could be like 1,900 playing with like 1,100 players, 1,900 playing with 1,300 players. And in most of my games that I've looked at in the past couple of days, I'm always the highest rated player. There's only been like a few games where I'm not. There was like a game where an enemy player was like 2K rated. There's been a couple games where I've had a player or two on my team that were 2K rated. And but it's very few and far between. Most of the matchmaking is just built very quickly, and will put me on teams with just about anybody that's playing in Masters. Especially solo queue, because it's trying to make the best game, or it's trying to make a quick game and trying to make a fair average game. So the higher you are, kind of the easier it is for the matchmaker to pull lower rated players into your game to average out the scores. So that's an experience. I was mostly jungling when I can. My strategy for jungling was to either favorite my Pokemon that I wanted to jungle. So there was times where I had favorited Greninja for jungling or Dragonite for jungling. But whenever those characters feel contested, at times I would swap my favorite to Absol. And the reason why I would pick Absol is because whenever people see Absol, it's kind of like the perception is, okay, that guy's gonna jungle, right? Like, it's almost like they expect you to call jungle. So when you load into the game and you're instantly on Absol, people will sometimes just give you jungle. So that's kind of a strategy that I had for getting jungle, but it wasn't the best strategy for always getting the jungler that I wanted. So it was a give and take, right? But I think that was a decent strategy. I would favorite Absol, I would go into games, I would insta-call center lane, and then I would just play jungle. Now, you know, I'm not saying that jungle is the only way to carry games. It definitely helps, especially considering, one, that's my best role. I play nothing but jungle pretty much in this game. I do lane a little bit, but all the characters I like to play are really, really well suited for jungle. And, you know, naturally, there's a slight bit more carry potential from the jungle role just because of the fact that you get more experience. So I feel like it's natural that jungling is a really, really good way to approach solo queue, but it's definitely not the only way. I want to say that my success was really from Greninja, Serena, Dragonite, Greedent, were some of the characters that I had the most success with. I played a lot of everything just because, you know, when I'm streaming, when I'm playing, I don't want to just be stuck on one character, one Pokemon the whole time, but I did play a lot of different things. And it was rare, very, very rare that you would see me on a supporter or a defender. As far as attackers goes, you're not going to hardly ever see me playing SP attackers. I rarely would play things like Sylveon, Pikachu, Ninetales, Cramorant, unless I was just doing it for fun, because I don't think that they're very great for solo queue, ironic enough. I think that their lack of mobility and their lack of self-sufficiency makes it to where you have to rely on at least one teammate to peel for you in a game that, like I said, doesn't really have great matchmaking, and so you can't really rely on that. So I was playing a lot of Greninja with Surf, so there's a lot of self-sufficiency, a lot of good mobility, burst damage with Surf for securing objectives, and then just crazy DPS for fighting. I did pretty well as Absol. Absol, the reason why I think Absol does so well in solo queue is because of the inherent design of the character to get really, really fed and ahead early game to then snowball a game. That sometimes was enough to win games. Dragonite was great for solo queue because of the Hyper Beam Dragon Dance secure. Serena, insane team fighter, but not great secure, but you can win team fights as Serena if you get ahead. And yeah, I can't really think of any other junglers that I jungled that much of, because those were really like the main ones that I was using. As for lane, I played a lot of Greedent. Greedent is really, really great in lane. I'm not the best Lucario in the world, so I don't tend to play a ton of Lucario, but laning wise, I played some Mime every now and then, really rare, but I played a lot of Greedent when I would lane, and then just I would play a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I also think it's important to note that, like, I would read my team comps and I would think, like, what do we need? And even if it's not good at lane, or even if I just don't trust my teammates and their picks and what it perceptually looks like, I'll just play whatever I think I can carry with anyways. So I probably played a good bit of lane Greninja. I know I did, because, you know, I just want the Surf and the ability to get really farmed and to carry the game. So yeah, in 5 stacks you would probably never see a lane Greninja, but in solo queue I don't really think it's that bad. You suffer a little bit early, but then you can still just get ahead and do what Greninja does, so something to think about when it goes to solo queuing. But the overall experience was interesting, because it's just a gigantic mental battle, and it's a gigantic struggle realizing that the responsibility is that you have to carry the games. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I carried 100% of my games. In fact, not. You know, I had bad games where I would throw. I had a game last night where I almost threw because I just died way too late. It happens for sure. But you have to do your best to be consistent. You have to do your best to carry. And on the games that you're not supposed to win, those are the games that you need to overcome and win. That's how you get a higher win rate. And on the games where you make a mistake and somebody carries you, or somebody gets a big steal, an objective steal, and they win, or y'all win because of your teammate, you have to acknowledge those as well. So, you know, big shout outs to any of the teammates that did play well whenever we were there. It was a fun experience to try to push myself to this point. I don't know if I'm going to play much more during the season. I don't know how much is left on the season. I actually forgot. I probably should have checked before recording this video, but that was my overall experience. Yeah, it's just been a big mental battle, trying to carry, trying to do your best. and we mostly did it solo queue, which is pretty great. I dare say I think like 50% of my games were solo queue, lots of duo queues, handful of like, you know, good amount of trio queues, and then like 17 games of 5-stack. So all right, friends, there you have it. That's my experience getting to 2K on a mostly solo queue account. It was tough, but it's definitely something you can do. Anybody can climb in this game. It's hard to climb this high, I'm not gonna lie, but anybody can definitely get to master. So keep pushing, keep learning, keep improving. And yeah, as always, friends, be sure to be kind to one another. Tell someone that you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.